page.
So we'll let a few more people filter in.
All right, and let's share to our, great. Well, thanks to everyone for coming in. We'll wait another minute or so, and then we'll dive right in. Hey, Olivier, hey, Marianne.
All right, I think I'll get some housekeeping out of the way while the rest of the people file in. So this is sort of going to be an office hours demo. A lot of you submitted some questions beforehand, and we're going to try and get to as many of them as we can. But we're going to try to do these every week, hopefully every Friday. Maybe we'll change the day every now and then, just in case Fridays don't work well for some people. But we want this to be sort of a consistent thing where people can come in and just ask whatever questions they have. And we could all share knowledge with each other. So thanks for attending the inaugural one, and hopefully we'll get your questions answered. And if not, you can always come back next week and we'll be able to address them then. So I'm going to pass it over to Andy. As we go, if you have additional questions, there is a Q&A area. Feel free to ask a question there, and we'll try to answer those at the end once Andy has gone through some of the pre-submitted questions. So with that, I'll pass it to Andy. And we'll get started.
All right, cool. And let me make sure that this webinar is recorded. Cool. So first quick question, is what webinar going to be recorded? It is going to be recorded, and if you have to duck out, we'll have the recording for later that we're going to share afterwards. So what I want to do today is basically run through Postaga with a couple of examples that we've gotten submitted from you to show what kind of campaigns we'd run for different types of businesses, as well as some best practices and some ideas and things that you may not know about. So as I go through this, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we'll get to them. So let me share my screen real quick. Let's see what we got. All right, all right. Does everyone see my screen, and what do they see? Just want to make sure real quick.
So is everyone seeing the Blogsmith?
Cool. All right, awesome. Thank you. Good to know. All right, so the first one we're going to check out came from Maddie, who runs the Blogsmith. She's got this service geared towards done-for-you content writing for B2B brands, and she's got a really great blog all about freelancing and SEO and content writing. And she's like, well, so how am I going to use Postaga to promote my brand and build links and help me get more traffic to my site? So I had a few ideas about this one. So in Postaga, I'm just going to jump to my Postaga tab here in a campaign screen. I have some ideas for how Maddie could build links to her articles. One thing I want to get out of the way, though, and say, like, that's very important if you're trying to build links to content, to your blog posts. With the outreach that you're going to do, you're going to get a variety of responses from the people that you're reaching out to, the better you have a better chance at success if the longer and better and more thorough your content is. So I want to use this as an example because I like this article a lot. It's very unique and it's specific and it's personal and there is a lot of depth to it. So it has a table of contents. There's a lot to this and a lot of meat to this article. So it being unique, it's going to stand out. And there are a lot of articles out there on the internet about freelancing and a lot of general articles, but this one offers a unique perspective and some unique insights. And so when I'm going to be reaching out to different blogs to ask them to link to this content, they're going to be maybe more interested in linking to it because it has something unique to share, right? So that's important to be mindful of when you're thinking about doing promotion for your articles. So this is a great post. I like it a lot. So in Postaga, I've got a bunch of different campaign types that I could be running related to promoting blog posts. One that I'm going to kind of walk through is this resource campaign in particular. And what the resource campaign is it's basically we're looking for resource articles on a given topic. And just to give you an example of what I mean by that, like an article like this of 49 social media marketing tools and resources. Yep.
Hold on. I think we're still on the Blogsmith
Yep.
screen.
I was worried about that. Great. One sec. Let's try that again. I had this happen earlier to me today. I don't know why. The internet is wonderful. All right. So now do you see this social media marketing post?
Yeah, now we're on Brand Watch.
All right. Now I'm going to jump between a couple of tabs. So right now, just jumping to a Postaga tab. You see that? Great. Okay.
Yeah, now we're good.
So this resource campaign that I want to do, I'm looking for resource articles in particular on a given topic. So like this is a resource article. It's usually like the typical pattern that I see is a number followed by a topic and resources. And so like this article shares links to other articles and on a topic. Like this whole point of this post is to be a resource for other people doing research on this topic. Well, if I've written a specific article on social media, or I have a blog geared towards social media, I might want to like reach out to these blogs to ask them to include my content, and then linking to my content gets me another backlink and increases the likelihood that I show up better in search results related to the topics that I'm looking to. Really oversimplifying that, but that's kind of the goal of all of this link building that we're going to be doing for content in particular. So for Maddie's article, I want to do a resources campaign here. And what I'm going to do, I've got my Postaga account here. I'm going to choose promote a blog post, choose a resources campaign, and then enter in her blog post. And now we're going to analyze that post. And what's going to happen is Postaga is going to basically read her page, find the information about it, her blog post title, her website, and everything like that, to also trying and figuring out, analyzing the article, see like what are the most prominent keywords and terms. So like start freelance writing or freelance writing. And all of these fields here, by the way, can be used in merge fields in our outreach emails, in our pitch emails. So like, for example, you might see these custom merge fields here. I might use some of these depending on my article, depending on the email templates and sequences that I'm using. I may want to use some of these merge fields, but I'm going to skip that for now because I haven't chosen my template yet, and I may not know what email sequence I want to use. So I'm going to come back to this later if I need to. So next, I want to search for resource articles on a given topic. And so for Maddie, I'm going to search for freelance writing. and I can enter any search terms I want. I can also add multiple searches. I can do different terms if I want. But for this, I want to focus narrowly on like freelance writing, and so like my pitch is going to be geared towards these. So next, I've got a bunch of these great like articles that I'm looking for. The number followed by resources, followed by topic, and things like that. So like resources for freelance writers. I can click this link and I can see this article. I can skim through it if I want and see like, all right, what's this all about? Great, they're linking to other people's articles. They're sharing links to tools, links to blogs. Great. So like you can go through these if you want. If you one pro user thing here, if you have an account with Ahrefs, we have an integration with that, so you can pull information about these articles to get their like domain ratings and things like that. So if I click this button here, we can add the get their information about these websites and their domain rating. So great, these are all well-rated sites. If I can get a link from like a domain rating 88 site, that's going to be very good for us. Yeah. So I can check out these other sites if I want to, just see if they'd be a good fit. But I'm just going to pick a bunch of these just to kind of show you what the workflow and the process is like. Great, going through these. And then after we're done with all of that, I'm going to skip ahead now and click Analyze Results. And the next step of the process here, what's going to happen is we're going to, the software is going to analyze all of these resource articles, and we want to find the right person at these websites to connect with. Like the step after this is going to be in basically finding their email addresses. But you know, we don't want to just find anyone's email address at these websites, because if we find something general, it could be the wrong person. It could be a general inbox like an info at, but it's going to be much more likely that we get success if we have a specific person here. So what's happening now is Postaga is analyzing these sites and trying to find the most relevant person through its own analysis. And so this is the person that they found. If I click this little plus button over here, we have an integration with LinkedIn to basically search LinkedIn to try and find contacts at these companies. Great. So this looks like a good one. This one, that's not a person. I guess Postaga pulled that from the website. That might be like what the default author was for that article. I can see if we have someone else at this. Great, I do. I can use them as the contact for this one. Let's see, another one. But let's say I didn't have this contact here. There are these links on the side that we can use to basically do additional research. And if you've ever done like link building, prospecting, or anything like that, it can be a very manual process where you scour the internet, you scour LinkedIn to try and find contacts at these websites, and then it just ends up being very time consuming. The beauty of Postaga is that we've really streamlined all of this. So not only are we trying to automatically find the best fit contacts, we also like are scraping these websites to find like which is the about page. And the reason I like this about page link that we found is for a lot of websites, this one isn't a good example, dang. But for a lot of websites, like the about page will have, if it's a smaller company, they'll have like a few team members listed here, right? So we can use those. So let's see if this one might be a better example. Great. So if I scroll down, I see here is a person's name at this company. So I'm going to add that person as the target contact. And there we go. One thing I was going to skip, but I just remembered. So with resource articles in particular, I'm going to want to find resource articles that link out to other websites, right? Like where they're sharing links to other content from brands like ours. But sometimes people's resource pages only share links to resources on their own websites. And that's like a situation that we have here. These are all links on their own site. So Postaga lets us know this URL does not link to any external sources. So, it's probably not worth our time to reach out to them, because what are the chances that these people are going to link out to us from their resource page? So I'm going to actually exclude that one. So next up, I'm going to click Get Contacts. And what's going to happen is Postaga is going to find email addresses for all of these contacts. And if you have any questions as we're going along here, please feel free to let me know in the Q&A. Any specific questions, any comments, anything like that, let us know. So we're jumping in here, trying to find contacts, find their email addresses. And it's going along. And one thing about, or a few things about the contact finding is with how this works is we're going to try and find, like, not only do we find email addresses, but we also run a verification on them. So like this email address is very, very likely going to reach this person's inbox. We verified that this email address exists and this person will get this email. There are some like email finding tools out there that don't automatically do verification. Verification though is important, because if you like get email addresses, some of those email addresses might bounce, where you send the email out and then the email doesn't get to the recipient, it bounces. And if you have a high rate of the emails bouncing, it increases the likelihood that your domain gets listed as spam, or that and that like your future emails, even to real people, have deliverability issues where you'll end up in spam folders or things like that. So deliverability is very important. And that reminds me, I had a question about deliverability specifically. What can I do to improve deliverability? Well, one thing is to reach out to only verified contacts. So we do have a way to exclude specifically unverified contacts. So the ones that you see here, let me just give it as an example. You have either verified or catch-all. What a catch-all contact email address is the short of it is that we tried to verify the email address and we're not able to specifically verify it or specifically know that email is going to get rejected. Their email server accepts our email, but any combination of email addresses would work at that domain. So this random string would also technically work, but it could either end up bouncing later or just going to a general inbox. We're not 100% positive that it's going to work there. So you can exclude catch-alls if you want. That is an option, and we have that little hidden button down here that I can remove catch-all contacts. And so one other thing here is these fields, these name fields, I'll be using in merge fields for my email pitch, right? So like if I want to say, hey, person's name, that comes from this first name contact field. The company name comes from this company field, and so on. And sometimes we find multiple contacts at a domain, and you can kind of review these, but we're going to like first give you the contact email that we believe is the most relevant here. So like this one, I have multiple contacts. And one question I get a lot also is, well, should I reach out to multiple people at a domain? I personally don't do that. Like you could reach out to someone at a company, and then if they don't respond, do another campaign and reach out to someone else at that company. That might be something that you want to do. But if a bunch of people get an email at the company from you, and they know and they talk about it and they know it, then you're gonna be like, oh, this person doesn't know who they're trying to reach. That sounds kind of spammy. I don't like that. So that's just some advice for that. Next up, we have the email sequence selector, and you'll choose whatever email sequence you want to use. I have a sequence here for a resources campaign, which this is. And what the sequence looks like, if you haven't seen this before, basically the first step, it'll send an email and then wait 6 days and then send a follow-up email. Another question that I get a lot here is, well, is everyone going to get this follow-up email? And people will only get the follow-up email if they do not reply to the first email or an earlier email. So if you have a series of like 6 emails, if they reply to any of the emails, they will stop getting any future emails in the campaign. And you can just, if they reply to you, great, you can take the conversation and keep going with it, but they don't need the other follow-up emails checking in to see what they thought. So next up, I have this email preview where automatically Postaga will personalize the email for each one of these contacts. And so we see like the pitch here is, I came across your article of freelance writing resources, and here's the article. I wanted to pitch you this article that I have, and this is Maddie's article. And you'll see also here, though, that there's this red merge field. So if you build a campaign and you see a red merge field, that means that that this is a merge field that hasn't been filled out yet, and you need to do that. If you accidentally send a campaign that has a red merge field, it'll just appear as blank, like it won't say custom merge field or like that in the email. But your contact may be confused why it says here's a quick blurb about it and then there's nothing. So for me to edit the post related merge field, I'd go click this section, and that'll jump me back to the post section. And I mentioned earlier, right, about the merge fields. So for this article summary, great. I've got this article about freelancing. I've got content for it, and now I've got a pitch that works for all of these people, right? If I want to overwrite any individual contact's email, like let's say Tarek at Uncubed is a big celebrity in the freelance writing game, I want to personalize the email further, I can click on the email itself, and that'll let me overwrite that specific email. And if I want, let's see, I can have this link handy to the website, and that's their resource article. I can say something about it if I want, like, oh, I really loved that stock photo of that person enjoying their computer outdoors, or I love these tips, whatever, something personal, whatever, I don't know. And then I overwrite the email, and now this person has a further customized, personalized email. And depending on like the scale of your campaign, if you're reaching out to a few people or a lot of people, you may want to add more personalization in. That's completely up to you. And then next up, great, I can schedule the email. I can send it out right now if I want to. I could send them to test emails. Some rules here, I generally just keep these on what they are as a default. So like thread messages, make sure that when I have a follow-up email, like it'll show up as like RE and in the same thread. Don't see why you wouldn't want that. Send on weekends. I turn that off. So like if a follow-up email is supposed to go out a day from now, and it would be Saturday, I don't want to do that. I want to send out the next follow-up email on the next working weekday, right? So it'll just then roll over to the next. And then stop on reply makes sure that if a contact responds, we'll stop following up, and then I can schedule that. And that's really what the workflow looks like for most every campaign type. So the first section being you choose the campaign type, then you choose then you do the research aspect, and you find contacts, And so I'm moving forward right now. I'm not going to spend like more time on like the sequences and the contact elements of that. If you have any questions on these specific areas, let me know, and I can talk more about them. But now I want to dive into some other examples and other ideas of campaigns that I would run for different people. So the next one that session that I had is this article from Inbound Media Services. So this is a company. This is a company that does done-for-you service for basically Amazon e-commerce management. They've got a blog. They want to build links. They want to get more traffic, right? And so let's say I want to build links to this article. It looks like a good article here. Let me just scroll down, take a look. It's got a lot of information about how this works. Also, and this is a shout out to Olivier. And so what would I do here? I would probably do a skyscraper campaign, actually. And so so this is a technique that is a little more advanced. I don't know if show of hands, anyone familiar with skyscraper technique or not, just let us know in the chat. Just to gauge this, I could have done a poll. I did not. But the chat's good too. All right, so not familiar with skyscraper. All right, so here's what skyscraper is, and so what skyscraper entails is like, let's say I've got there's this topic that I want to be ranking #1 for. So writing Amazon product descriptions, right? So if I do like a quick Google search on Amazon product descriptions, I see like this site shows up #1. On Amazon obviously does, other blogs do, but I want to outrank them. So one strategy, and right now I'm going to jump into my Ahrefs account. What I can do is I can like search for this term, so Amazon product descriptions, and I can see what the top ranking articles are on this topic, but also I can see how many links there are to those articles. And so if I want to take a look at this Sellbrite article about ranking or Amazon product descriptions, great, that's a fine article. But let's assume like my article is 1,000 times better because of A, B, and C. Let's say my article's newer. This one has outdated information. My article is more thorough and more in depth and has some additional information. This one doesn't. So what I want to do is I want to reach out to all of these people who link to this article and suggest to them that they link to my article instead. So that is how skyscraper works. And the nice part about this is I have, like with a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush or Ubersuggest, you can get backlink profiles for articles like this. And so what I would do here is I can see all of the websites that link to this article. And like I could see like the anchor text here. So like in the context, so like this article about Amazon linked to the article with product link descriptions and so on. So what I want to do now is I want to extract, like I can extract all of these backlinks basically, and I can export that into a spreadsheet. And then what I can do with like Postaga is I can import this and then find contacts at all of these websites and have a pitch to them to be like, hey, I really liked your article on Amazon something, and I noticed that you mentioned Amazon product descriptions, but that article that you linked to was so out of date. It's from 2015, and our article, but good for you, I've written a more up-to-date, in-depth article on this topic that you should probably link to. So check that out. Let me know what you think. Happy to help, whatever. So that's kind of like roughly the pitch there, right? So what I would do there for this is in Postaga, I would run a skyscraper campaign. You can upload like so. If I export the CSV uh, from Ahrefs or from whatever software or anything like that, I can then bring that in Postaga. But another thing that we have is something called the multi-scraper campaign. And this basically is the skyscraper campaign on steroids. So instead of me having to like as you see here, when I'm finding these articles and then finding their backlinks, I find this article, I'll export these links. I have this other article here, export these links. And I have to do these skyscraper campaigns one by one. But one thing that we've done with Postaga is with the integration we have with Ahrefs, we've built a way that you can run a skyscraper campaign targeting multiple websites at once with taking advantage of like our merge field, so we can reach out to a bunch of people linking to different websites to say, hey, you're linking to this website, and it could be like every email could be different. It could be like 20 different websites, and you should link to our website instead. So that's that. So how this multi-scraper would work. So first I have to integrate our Ahrefs account. To do that, you'd go into settings and APIs over here on the left side. And then you would, if you have an Ahrefs account, you can integrate that. So just like this, I've got this article on product descriptions. And now I want to search for, let's say, what was the term? Amazon product descriptions. And so how this is going to work is we're going to like we're going to find these articles effectively. And then, great, like I found this article from Celebrate, I found this other one. And so I can target all of these, grab all of their backlinks, and reach out to all of these various people instead of doing it one by one, which you can do. You can absolutely do that. But it's completely up to you. The multi-scraper, I think, really makes it easier to do it quicker. So as you see here now, Postaga pulls all of the backlink profiles of these articles. Here are all of the individual links. But this one random site, coupon sale, I probably don't want to reach out to coupon sale. It seems like they're probably not going to link to us. It doesn't look like a really good particular link. And you have like the context here, so you can see where they're like linking to the article. So I can kind of review these and choose which ones of them I want to do. And then from there, once I'm happy with all of these, I can click Analyze Backlinks, and then Postaga will kind of like we did before and like you saw before, it'll try and find contacts at all of these websites, and then from there we'll find their contact information, and then from there we can pitch them. And we have templates and sequences already built that you can work from and use. So that can make your job a little bit easier there as well if you're not sure like what's my approach here. So that's that one. Q&A, if you have any questions about the skyscraper or multi-scraper, let me know. One question is about what if you don't have access to tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, or Ubersuggest? So if you want to do this skyscraper or multi-scraper technique, you would need a tool like Ubersuggest or Ahrefs or SEMrush, and I think they pay for themselves. They're not, well, Ahrefs and SEMrush are not inexpensive. They start at $99 a month. But I think for what you get for them and for like what it can provide for you for helping you do these campaigns, it's absolutely worth it. And of the tools, if you don't have any budget at all, Ubersuggest is the least expensive of these different tools. yeah, and so that's yeah, a consideration as well. Besides that, so aside from the skyscraper, multi-scraper campaigns, you don't need paid tools for the other link outreach campaign types that we have. So, for example, the resources campaign that I'd run earlier for Maddie's article, that you don't need any other tools for. The roundup campaign, kind of briefly, what that is it's very industry dependent, but in some industries there are people who write like weekly roundup newsletters or roundup articles where they share basically the whole post shares links to other articles in this topic area. So like as an example, like here is a weekly link roundup article from this website all about web design, and so they share links to other people's articles on this topic, and they do it every week. And so with the roundup campaign, we're going to be looking for link roundups. A challenge with this though is not every industry has bloggers that are writing link roundup articles, so that's just something to be mindful of. So if you don't find good roundups, it might not be your fault. Another campaign is the mention campaign, which basically finds all of the outbound links of your article and lets you reach out to them. So if you've written a great article and you've cited sources, maybe done so strategically, so you're like, all right, I'm going to link to all of these websites. In this mention campaign, I'm going to reach out to those websites to say, hey, I really liked your article. I even mentioned it and linked to it in my article. It would be great if you could, pay the favor, or if you could share the article, something. That's another one that you can do. And this other type of promotion that a lot of link building professionals like to do, because it's very, very scalable, is guest post outreach. Basically what that entails is you search on different topics to find other blogs and pitch them your ideas for writing a guest post blog article for their website. With that though, you will need to write an article for their website and make sure it's decent quality. But the benefit of it is, like, once you write the article and submit it and they publish it, they will link back to your website or whatever you have links to in that article. And so, like, with doing guest post outreach, it does tend to be very scalable and has a lot of success to it, just because there are so many blogs out there looking for good content in particular. So I know a lot of people who honestly just exclusively focused on guest posts. So that's that. Next up, let me see. I had a few requests related to like how to promote certain businesses. So I want to share doing like a sales lead campaign. So let me find one sec. Okay, so here is a website. It's a marketing agency. I know there are a lot of agency folks in the audience, and aside from like doing any of these blog post promotion campaigns that I've shared, you might also be in the market for new clients. And so we have some sales lead campaigns geared exactly towards that. So the sales lead campaign basically is like a cold email outreach for businesses. Businesses specifically, it works best if like it's a retailer that has like a brick and mortar location in a particular city or area. And I'm going to show you how this works now. So let's say we're Phoenix SEO Consulting, this Get Visible company, and they work with certain industries, just so I can find some examples. Great, let's go for law firms. Have some experience with that area. Sam and I used to run a digital agency that focused exclusively on law firms. So what I have here for this sales lead gen campaign, I can choose a country and I can choose a city if I want to target something specifically. Like there are a lot of law firms around the world. I don't just want to target law firms. I could run multiple campaigns, one for law firms in a particular city. If you are a marketing, if you run a digital agency and most of your clients are like in your geographic area, which I know is common for a bunch of agencies, you might want to just focus on like your city and focus on a variety of different business types. So let's say I'm going to target New York City and I want to target personal injury law firms. Why not? So my pitch is going to be something, and the pitch for this, I'm going to need something very personalized and very tailored towards like my agency. Postaga does not have sales templates like specifically for your business, but if you want some like ideas of like, well, what's a good cold pitch, we can share some like resources on that as well. So great, here I found a bunch of personal injury law firms in New York. And same kind of process. We'll then analyze the sites, find the right people at these businesses, and then we'll have an email sequence sharing an email sequence, basically cold pitching. Some advice for if you're doing like cold emails for sales and getting leads for your business. One thing that I've seen some people do that I would not recommend is going too hard in the first email with the sell and like trying to get someone to grab time on your calendar or something like that. I like lots of businesses get cold pitched every day. Your pitch should stand out, be different. This way you can kind of like, I'm sure probably a lot of you get cold email pitches all the time for random things, and you recognize the patterns at this point. You're like, okay, I know that what this is. Like I don't need outsourced web dev services or outsourced IT or whatever. You've gotten those emails right and you're used to them. So what I like to do is I try to keep it casual in tone, funny, humorous if you can. Like there is one particular brand that I like a lot. That the name is blanking on me right now. I know some of you know it. A charm offensive, it's called. Basically, it's like you do cold emails, but in a disarming way. Like I know, like one tactic they did is like shared pictures of their dog or whatever in the email. Like, hey, here's a picture of a dog. Now that I have your attention or whatever, can we talk about this or whatever? I don't know, something like that. But like generally the tone being humorous and being different from the standard kind of cookie cutter sales pitch template that you've seen before will get you better results. So being personalized, making sure that you know what this company is. So like here I target, like I want to be specific as possible. I'm targeting personal injury firms in New York. So I can have a pitch that's tailored towards specifically personal injury firms in New York. And I can work that in with my templates as well, to make like, so that I can have the templates be specific for this area, so that when they open it, they're like, okay, this person who's reaching out to me knows who I am. They're not just blanket reaching out to every law firm with a whatever practice area around the country. That's some ideas for that. Let's see what else we got. I have let's see, podcast. I like this one. Okay. So I've got audienceMagnet.com. This website, this person has a podcast. Dennis has his own masterclass, has his consulting business, but he's looking to build his audience by being on podcasts. And so with the podcast campaign that we have, we can get you to be a guest on different podcasts. And I wrote an article. Let me see if I could find that. I want to share that in the chat. I wrote an article all about guest podcasting. And so a reason that I like guest podcasting is a few things. One, it does help you build links, because whenever you appear on a podcast, in the show notes, they will link to your website and any other resources that you share. Let's see if I have a good example of one. And so they'll link to you in the show notes, and so you get a backlink there. Often also the podcasts are syndicated, and so the notes and the links to your site may appear in a few different spots, which is great as well. Also, by appearing on podcasts, you get in front of a new audience of people who probably want your services, hopefully, provided that you're on the right kind of podcasts. So you have people who will potentially reach out to you to be potential customers. Another link that I'm going to share here in the chat is a case study that we just published about doing podcast outreach specifically, where a consultant was able to basically does a podcast campaign once a month and gets 3 podcast interviews each month. And I'll just share the link to that right quick here. And so if you go to the link that I share in the chat, we've got this. And so here she shows an example of, here are the show notes where they link to the resources and articles that she gives. So for a podcast campaign, and another thing that I like about podcast campaigns, so I love doing guest posts because they're very, very scalable. But with podcasts, you show up to a podcast, you know your material. You've hopefully, after a while, you'll be talking about maybe the same things on multiple podcasts. So you're prepared. You know what you're going to talk about. You could talk about your area of expertise for hours. And so you show up to the podcast, you talk about your topic, and you're done. And that's an hour of your time, and you've got a podcast. As opposed to if you're doing guest posts, and if you're doing it yourself, if you don't have a team of content writers that you're working with, it may take you several hours to write every blog post that you're going to be doing. So for Audience Magnet here, we're looking at certain podcasts, and Dennis wants to get on marketing podcasts. So I just search for marketing as a topic, and now Postaga is going to give me marketing podcasts. But in particular, it's going to give me marketing podcasts that are still active. And that's important because there's a graveyard of well-intentioned podcasts that started, that have had a few episodes and then gave up, or the run was over. But you don't want to reach out to someone who has a dead podcast, because if they even get back to you, they'll be like, yeah, we haven't published an episode in 5 years. Clearly, you know nothing about this podcast. Why are you bothering us? So right now what's happening, Postaga is grabbing all these marketing related podcasts, Marketing Over Coffee, Neil Patel's podcast. If I reach out to that, yeah, they'll definitely have me on as a guest, right? Gary Vee, definitely. I don't see any reason why Gary Vee wouldn't have me on his podcast. So some of these, I joke some of these are going to be more competitive. Like someone like Gary Vee's podcast, if he has guests, he has a booker on his team who is typically doing the outreach to potential guests. But even so, you can or cannot, you can choose to reach out to whoever you want. The Marketing Smarts podcast, I was on that a few months ago, just through that I got through this outreach campaign. And so further below, if I scroll down, I'll see inactive podcasts, podcasts that haven't published an episode in a year or however long. And you can choose to reach out to them. If you can add them to the list, I wouldn't. But just it's giving you all that information. So there's that as well. Um, for the podcast pitch, we do have we do have a lot of sequences and templates already there ready to go. The template that we have built in for podcast pitching has worked very well for me. I it's the same pitch template that I use for myself. I just customize it for my needs. So like the pitch is basically the effect of, hey, I've got an episode, I've got I was recommended your podcast, and I've got a few episodes queued up. I'm excited to check it out. Uh, I wanted to see if you are looking for guests for the next month or two. Here is and here's I have an idea for an episode on insert topic. It would be a merge field, and you could insert whatever topic you want. And then after that, here's why I would be a good guest, and then you could share your credentials. A few things that I've done that have that I think help the pitch is like you can say something like, I'd be happy to share the episode with my audience of followers, listeners, whatever. If you have your own podcast as well, reciprocate, invite them on your podcast as well. I know that's actually a very, very common thing. Podcasters love going on other podcasters' podcasts. They run the circuits. So Dennis here has his own podcast. That could be another nice offer to have as well in that pitch. So let's see. What else do we have here? So yeah, that is podcast outreach.
Do you want to try and tackle? So Ido has a question. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. He says, "Hi, I'm working as a thermographer. I think that's the term in home building inspections. My clients are homeowners and service companies. In this sector, there's not so much link building, resource sharing. What's the best campaign in this situation?" So my thought, that's a tough one. It's definitely a tough market for link building.
I like that though. So
you can share your own opinion on this after, but I'm thinking that maybe a sales lead campaign targeting real estate agents and inspection companies so that you can try and build some referral relationships might be the best way to go there. What do you think, Andy?
No real estate. So Ido says no real estates. So if you're looking for like link building in particular, do you want to drop in your website link? With areas where there's like maybe not a lot of related content in the space, we got to get creative, right? So like your clients are homeowners and like other like service companies, you're saying. If you have good content related to like home inspections, you can target broader like DIY blogs or like construction blogs or home building blogs possibly. I'm thinking like DIY sort of like do it yourself home repair kind of blogs might be helpful. Like your content on your website, needs to be generally relevant to what you do, but it can be like maybe a step removed. So I'm not entirely sure what a thermographer does, and I would love to learn more about this. But let's say that thermographer searching for termites. That's gonna be my guess.
So
Ido, help me.
Yeah, when I searched it auto corrected to thermographer. I don't know if they're different. I know nothing about this field, so we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. But Andrew's suggestion is good. Okay, yeah, thermographer. You have a lot of expertise in a very specific niche. So if you write about that stuff in a blog, then you can share that that knowledge with uh, DIY blogs. Maybe DIY blogs are writing articles about home inspections, and you could say, okay, well, if you're doing a home inspection, you want to do an infrared thermography
Mhm.
scan or something.
Yeah.
And here's why, here's an article about how to do it, but you should really just hire me, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I like that. I might run like a resources campaign, specifically targeting like home inspection resources or something like that. And in whoever's article sharing resources on home inspections, your area of infrared thermography hopefully is relevant to that audience. So like you may have like a very specific area, but we can like take a step back and see like who else is maybe not in our exact sphere, because like you don't want to reach out to other blogs that are doing infrared thermography because they're your competitors and they're not going to link to you, but you want to reach out to people who are complementary, related to what you do, or like when you think about your content, who would be interested in it, and like a step backward from who would be interested in that. So it doesn't like, yeah, it's like not reaching out to people who would be competitors of yours, but people who are in a related space who your information might be helpful for. I hope that helps.
So we're coming up on the end of the hour. We can try to answer CF's question real quick. So I would like to target women business networks and associations similar to BNI to target to offer a training. How would you best use Postaga to reach out and connect? So that's also a tough one.
I like that one. I think I wrote an article about this exact thing. Uh, One sec. This sounds very familiar to me.
I think you wrote an article. I'm not sure if
Yes.
it's.
Okay. I'm going to share this specifically for targeting. I think this might be from us. So like from our conversation that we had. So, so if you're looking for like female CEOs in a particular space, you could, so one thing what you could do is like a mention campaign targeting like a website that lists female engineers or female leaders of engineering firms, or the custom search campaign targeting engineering firms and like filtering those results. So for example, the custom search campaign, I didn't really touch on that, but if none of these other things, like if you want to experiment and go crazy, you can run a custom search campaign and basically run your own search terms. It'll run similarly to like a Google search campaign, like a Google search. Basically, we have advanced search parameters you can use as well. So if you want to make sure that your keyword is like in the title, I don't know. You can do all of that, and so you can play around with that to try and find certain websites or businesses in a given area. So yeah, so I would try that.
All right. And with that, we're going to wrap up. Andy, do you want to share?
Oh yeah, sure.
The deal.
So if you do not have a Postaga like pro account, and you're hopefully getting some ideas now, and you're like, oh, I can see how I could run these campaigns for my business. I want to run these campaigns to help us build links or get podcast spots or find sales leads. We have a special just for this webinar and everyone attending here. I'm not sharing this with I guess anyone in the replay is going to see this, but it's only for today and for the first 10 people who sign up. If you don't have a pro subscription, you can get for your first month, instead of it being $99, it will be $29, and that's for your first month using the code Andy29. Let me throw that in the chat, and that will get, and that's for a pro account for your first month, which will give you access to things like more contacts and ability to try everything out further. You can try all of these campaign types. And so if you don't have a trial account yet, you can grab a trial account and upgrade using that promo code. Or if you have a Postaga account but haven't upgraded, you can go into the I think it's the plans page, and yeah, billing, and then plan, and click on Pro, and then at checkout use that code Andy29. And that promo code is only for today. It expires tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. It's 1 p.m. Eastern now, so a few hours. And it's also available just for the first 10 people who grab that. So it is limited. Hopefully, checking this out, you've gotten some ideas, and hopefully we've helped you out here, and you want to run some campaigns. And so like the pro account will get you more, like basically more contacts, more searches, and more emails to send out to people.
All right. And apologies if we didn't get to your question this week. Feel free to resubmit the same thing, and we'll do our best, especially if it's a repeat, to get to it in our office hours next week. And appreciate you guys spending some time with us.
Yeah. And to recap what Sam is saying, we mentioned this at the beginning. We're going to, for the foreseeable future, we're going to do this once a week, same time, unless everyone's telling us, no, this time is very inconvenient for us. Please don't do it now. Do it 5 hours before, 5 hours after, or whatever. But for the foreseeable future, 12 p.m. Eastern, every Friday, we're going to be doing these webinar demo office hours and running through campaigns, and hopefully giving some advice on what kind of campaigns we would run for you. This was the first one we did. We emailed it out to our entire list, so we had a lot of people. In the future ones that we're going to be doing, probably not as crowded, so we would have more one-on-one time to be able to look at your campaigns, your businesses especially. So if you go to postaga.com/demo, you can sign up for future demo office hours days as well.
All right, awesome. I hope everyone has a great weekend. If you're in the US, happy Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Later, everyone.
Bye.